year. I just finally stopped taking German classes for a little while, so I can have more time to like work on my art stuff.
Nice.
Nice.
Guten Tag, right? No? No?
Guten Tag, yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. Hey,
Uh,
cool.
Guten Tag is afternoon, yeah. So
Yeah. Cool. It's night there though, right?
yeah, it would be Guten Abend.
Guten Abend. Oh,
Abend
Okay.
is an evening, yeah.
cool, cool.
Well, I
Wait,
know.
do they speak German in Switzerland?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Switzerland has, I think, four uh languages, like what is that called? Official languages. They have German, French, Italian, and Romansh.
Okay.
And you spoke English when you went, so
Oh yeah, frankly, like most people, I'd say at least half people in Switzerland speak English too, but they just won't make it an official language. So I guess
okay.
they have too many.
So, and you're also a huge lover of manga? Is that
Manga.
manga?
Yeah.
Yes.
Little pet peeve of mine.
Ooh. Chris, why didn't you tell me?
I was going to let you dig your own grave.
That's literally why you're here. You're supposed to
You're
help
literally
us.
here to
You're
make
supposed
sure
to
we
help
don't do
us.
that. You had one job, Chris. One job for us not to, dig downwards and when we're trying to dig upwards. And you're literally like, nope, you're going the right way. You're doing great. And then we didn't.
Cool. So what are your favorite mangas?
Listen, the foreman just lets his workers keep going.
Um, Manga. So my manga collection is mostly a specific genre, that I don't know if you guys would have any knowledge of. It's yaoi mostly.
Chris?
Uh,
I know of yaoi. I don't have any
okay.
manga of it, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's mostly the manga I read. I watch a lot of anime, but for specifically manga, I have a lot of yaoi. Um,
And yaoi, those are the books that you drop specifically on your toe, and then you go yaoi. Yeah. Or no? What is yaoi about?
Yaoi is romance, but it's specifically gay romance between two men.
Okay.
Um,
Would
and it's
gravitation fall under that if you know that anime?
yes, it's shonen ai, but it's kind of interchangeable. It's shonen ai or yaoi, yeah.
Okay.
Shonen ai is the same thing as yaoi.
Yeah, it's like yaoi is like tends to be more for like rated M.
Okay.
While shonen ai is like for teenagers or younger.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, same genre though.
So rated M would be like more graphic content.
Yeah, usually adult themes, graphic content. Yeah.
Nice.
I don't personally write a lot of that
Oh, okay.
graphic content, but it's just I don't know. I like the way that the manga are written. Um,
Cool.
and then for yeah, I didn't grow up where you could buy a lot of manga, so I didn't ever collect like the big series,
Mm-hmm.
but I've always been a big fan of Death Note. I had a couple of manga volumes of theirs. Um,
Chris?
and yeah,
Chris, chime in.
Thoughts on Death Note?
Yes.
Oh, well, it was really well done. And the first arc was, in my opinion, a bit better with how Light fought against L instead of
oh yeah,
the two kids.
Okay. India, do you
Mellow
agree?
and Near.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, the first arc is my favorite too. But I watched the anime more than I read the manga. I only had a couple volumes that I could find.
Mhm.
Uh, oh God, I've suddenly forgot their name, but I have a bunch of their collections. Uzumaki, the horror books. Um, I think that's his name. The
Junji Ito?
Ito.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, especially with the spiral ones and Uzumaki.
Yes, that's why I thought of Uzumaki. Yeah.
Sorry to break the fourth wall, but Chris, Uzumaki was the film that you and me saw together.
Yes,
Okay, yes.
the manga is even more trippy, but very
Okay.
close. Just a little bit more graphic.
Okay, I have seen the live action version of that. I saw that with our expert Chris. So very, very trippy, very, very scary already.
I want to break
Okay.
the fourth wall. Eric,
Okay.
do you feel out of control with this podcast right now?
I feel like I feel like we are definitely skidding. I might have one wheel of four getting traction. You are flying through the Grand Canyon.
Okay, all right, back to the second fourth wall. Yep. Pull it back.
Okay.
Pull it back. You're
Okay, so Uzumaki was a horror film where like just everything gets obsessed with spirals. I don't even remember anything else except for like literally just spirals everywhere.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. The art of the manga is amazing and beautiful and terrifying. He puts a ton of work into it. Um,
And does
and
that
yeah, I'm
influence your art in a lot of ways, or
um
because you
the
sent us a like horror comedy sort of?
yeah, but mine's not nearly as like intricately done.
Oh, okay.
I love the work ethic. I love horror. I'm a big fan of horror. But I've never been much for the horror style in my own work.
Okay.
I gravitate towards more like cartoons. I like the creepy, scary stuff a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the other thing. I like anime. I like regular like American graphic novels. I like cartoons and horror. So I have a kind of vast uh, library that I pull from when I make my stuff.
I see. And what if you had to pin down your art style as any specific style? Could you
Uh,
do that, or do you? Is it hard?
Probably not.
Should we ask our
Uh,
expert, Chris,
Chris.
What's up?
if you had to pin her style down as a type of what style would it be?
Oh, for her artwork,
Yeah.
I can see how Ito can influence, like you were saying, a little bit. Um, uh, I don't know exactly.
It was not either. It reminded me of some Network cartoons like Gravity
uh,
Falls.
that's Disney.
Oh,
Oops.
whoops.
I
This
I
is why
think
we
you're
need
thinking.
experts.
I think you're thinking of Steven Universe, probably.
It's Steven
Yeah.
Universe. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
Steven Universe is what I was thinking of. That's who it was. It was
Yeah,
definitely very reminiscent to me of Steven Universe in a good way.
It also
yeah.
kind of reminds me of
I love
Courage
that.
of the Cowardly Dog a little bit.
Oh yeah, I love Courage the Cowardly Dog. That and I don't know if you guys seen it. I probably talked about it last time. Over the Garden Wall.
Oh yeah, I
Is
remember that
it?
one.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I saw that series because of you. I thought that was fantastic. Thank you for
Oh,
that, by the way.
yeah. I'm glad. It's definitely one of my favorites. I drew it all through college.
Mhm.
It came out like my freshman year of college, so it was just like all I drew for 3 years. So,
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Again,
yeah,
recommend if you have HBO, watch Over the Garden Wall because you can watch it through there.
Okay.
that's awesome. Yeah, for like anime influences, my favorite anime studio right now is Trigger. Um, I love their work on Kill la Kill and Little Girl Witch Academy or Little
Mhm.
Witch Academy. Um,
Have you also
and
seen DA? Oh, what was the one? DA Beasts or DNA
oh yeah,
Beasts?
oh my God, yeah, yeah, I think it's BHA, I think,
Hmm.
or BNA. That's it. It's like
Yes, thank
DNA
you.
but BNA.
Being a
It's
brand new animal.
yeah, it's a Netflix show, and I thought it was really great. I love pretty much anything Trigger makes, except for I think what was that, Darling Frank or something. Didn't like that one very much. Um,
It's
but
always
yeah, so
funny
they're
that no matter what they do, It always comes back to aliens.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean they come from Gynax, and that was also Gynax's thing. Um, but yeah, Gynax was another big thing for me when I was growing up, and I watched Gurren Lagann. It was my favorite, and I thought Panty and Stocking was great because of the art style. It's so cartoon inspired as an anime. Um, and what else?
So I have an argument with somebody that's not on this podcast that Kill la Kill is infinitely better than Gurren Lagann. I was arguing that Gurren Lagann is infinitely better than Kill la Kill. Are you in either of those camps, or are you like, no, they're both good?
They're both amazing. Gurren Lagann has my all-time favorite anime character ever, which is Kamina. Um, but Kill la Kill has, for me, a really great and complete story. Like Gurren Lagann has some bits that kind of go all over the place for me, and
It's two separate stories they kind of put together, whereas Kill la Kill has a full, complete arc. Is kind of how I see it.
and also Gynax is known for Gynax endings. I'm not going to say endings of things, but they're known for the Gynax ending.
If you've seen one of his endings, you've seen his other endings. I mean, if you're gonna go watch, if you want endings like that, you go for those endings. If you want happy, you don't go for the person that did Angel Beats as well. You don't go for happy, like stuff like that.
Yeah, so but Kill la Kill, I love the themes and the story and everything, and I really love the animation because it's Trigger, and Trigger's just fantastic when it comes to animation because they came from Gynax. So you take all the good animation of Gynax and then you add more good animators and you've got this incredible style. Um, so I would say they're both really good, but I'd probably watch Kill la Kill more than Gurren Lagann if I was to rewatch them.
Do you have like a go-to rewatch show when it comes to anime? Just because I'm currently rewatching Made in Abyss, because like for me that's my favorite anime ever.
I have a couple. For me, it's a depends on how I feel. If I want just like a comfort show, then I might rewatch Inuyasha because I used to watch that a ton as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm
A follow-up question about that:
yeah,
Kagome or Kagome?
Kagome.
Okay.
I might be saying that wrong because I watched it as a kid, and when I was a
watched it
kid,
as a kid too,
I
but no. Fourth wall breaking again. Another person who went to high school with named Garrett Azok spent 10 minutes yelling at me because I said Kagome. He's like, I said Kagome. And he's like, Kagome! I'm like, Kagome? Kagome!
It sounds like a high
Yeah,
school
he had
conversation.
major issues. He had major issues with that one in high school. I remember him going off about it.
Yes. So Garrett was the head of the anime club in our high school, and part of the reason they could never show Inuyasha is because he would just go off on the English dub so much. You're like, okay, we're just making a new rule. We are not showing Inuyasha
yeah,
ever in the high school anime club.
I had a habit when I was a kid to look at the word once and then be like, I know how to say that word, which is why I have a pet peeve against manga because I used to say that all the time. And then I listened to like an opening to an anime that said manga, and I'm like, I've been saying it wrong this whole time.
I still get caught with debris, because people don't just say debris in conversation. And like but in every sci-fi book there's like the word debris, but you think it's just debris, right? It's
oh yeah,
like that's how it's spelled, but then nobody ever says debris in real life, and you're like, like look at all that debris over there, and they're like debris.
I say the word idea like as if I'm from New York, because both my parents are from New York, so the word idea is idea, but everyone in Chicago pronounces it idea.
Right.
Which makes no
sense.
sense.
Of the world outside of New York, yeah.
No, it's idea. It makes perfect sense. I don't know. Whatever. Are we getting off topic?
I think Colonel is the worst because I never know what's going on when I find that word in a book.
Oh yeah, yeah. Colonel, right?
Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
colonel. Yeah,
Whenever
Yeah, that
somebody
happens to me all the time.
whenever they spell the word with the words like not EMP or whatever or Esper or ESP, I always
Yeah.
pronounce it
Mhm.
S. What's an
Yes.
S? Until
Yeah.
someone tells me no, they're talking about Esper. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always have a hard time with the word. What's that avocado thing that you use with chips? Glaucome?
Yeah, guacamole.
Guacamole?
Yeah, glaucome, right?
Guacamole.
Yeah,
See, I keep saying it wrong.
that's funny.
But yeah, getting back to the anime that I watch, my all-time favorite anime is Polymagi Madoka Magica.
Chris, I need your help.
Uh, if that's the one I'm thinking of, is that the one where the anime changes on episode 3
Yes, it's Madoka Magica,
with
or
the magical girls and then
yes.
Wow,
okay.
if you search something on Google and it can't find it, there's like a little troll fishing. That's kind of fun. He's ice
Oh.
fishing. Here, let me show you. This is cool. This is really funny.
What'd you look up?
Oh.
I looked up Majina Dokanashima,
No.
and you see there's a little troll fishing. That's kind of fun.
Why don't you click on the troll?
What happens? Oh, he gets something.
Oh,
It's a can,
that's cute.
and he's gonna recycle.
That's
Oh, now he's whistling.
fun.
This is
So
great
that-
podcast stuff.
So from what I know about that anime, it is not a very happy anime. So I could see why you wouldn't.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely. I wouldn't go to watch it if I'm looking to feel good.
Okay.
But I do. It's amazing and expertly made. It's only like 12 episodes, so it's a really quick watch. I mean, if you can get through the whole thing without crying your eyes out. But definitely the art style is very. I would say that definitely influences my art style. And yeah, I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was talking about, so I said the full title, but I really just call it Madoka Magica. So, but
Okay.
it's definitely
Update
very
on the
fun.
troll. He's caught 2 fish, a can, a boot, and like an old tin for like sardines. You know. Oh,
Okay.
here comes another can. But he's
Okay.
throwing them all in the same bucket, which doesn't make sense. If he's gonna eat those fish later, he's
a troll. Maybe he's gonna eat the cans later and return the fish.
That's
don't
what you would
know.
expect. I don't know why you would throw fish and cans all in the same
Okay.
bucket.
So you've written 2 new comics called Oh So Unfortunate Files.
I haven't written them. I've illustrated for them.
Illustrated them. You're illustrated. I'm sorry. How was the collaboration between you and the writer for that?
Oh, really good. Very easy to talk to them. They have this nice script that has all of the dialogue written and everything they want in each panel. And when I feel like, something doesn't fit into the page or maybe something needs to be changed, I can tell them, and they usually respond. I mean, they always respond very nicely about it. Sometimes incorporate it, sometimes explains why they can't incorporate that. It's a really good. I've never had problems with writers. I've always had a really good time collaborating because I think communication's like the most important thing.
How did
So,
they find you?
um, I believe it was Reddit. There was, I think the same place that I found you guys.
Yeah, comic book
Um,
collabs. Okay.
yeah, so they were advertising that they needed an illustrator, so I talked to them and started the series with them. They also have a second series with a different illustrator. I believe it's called Wisp. And right now we're just making a series of them, maybe like 5 before they try to get their like whole thing rolling because they want to really advertise their writing, and I want to advertise my illustrations. So this Oh So Unfortunate Files is a series of short sketch or like horror comedies. They're mostly just like gag comics.
Hmm.
Um, I believe Wisp is a more uh like story format, continuing story format.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been really good working with them. The comics are really fun to draw. I have a lot of control over um, the style and everything. We're trying to go kind of cohesive with the style so that they all fit together.
Okay. Yeah, I could see
Even though
that.
this,
Yeah.
yeah.
They all look like we've read 1 and 2. They look like they're in the same world despite being different characters. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's been really fun. And they've I'm working on a third one right now. That's going to be about aliens. So that one's going to be fun to release in a little while.
So that explains what your favorite anime or company, their favorite group of anime thing is you're talking about, because as our expert Chris said, it always goes back to aliens.
Yeah, aliens are not my favorite
As
horror
it
subject,
does.
but they are very fun to play with. Yeah.
So these have a similar style, but they're different than your other work. How do you kind of come to a certain style for a comic or for a
Mm,
series?
well, yeah, my that was one of the things when you were talking about what I consider my style to be. I have a few different ones,
Hmm.
and I kind of just melt into whatever project I'm doing. Um, so for a lot of the times, if I'm working with a writer, then often I'll ask them if they have like something in mind for an art style, or if they have seen my work, what they're like gravitating towards,
Okay.
so that I can start with sketches on that. I always start with character designs. Whenever I work with writers, I want character designs first, so I know what the style is going to be.
Hmm.
Um, and I usually do a ton of very rough sketches for a character in a bunch of different styles. Sometimes pretty similar. Sometimes I'll like one of my comics that I was working on. I was showing them like really cartoon, semi-cartoon, and way more anime inspired, um, so that we could kind of figure out what they wanted for the whole comic to look like.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, so, but for my own personal projects, I usually have an idea of what I want the style to look like before I start drawing.
So it's based
Um,
on what the story is, kind of for you.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
definitely. I don't, I've never been a person that can write something in my style, I guess. Like, I don't, I don't immediately draw a style and then have it, characters go through it in whatever. If I'm writing a horror, I'm going to do more horror based art.
Okay.
If I'm writing something that's romantic, then I'll kind of tend towards anime style. If I'm writing something funny, it's going to be cartoonish.
I see.
Yeah. So,
Interesting. What would you? This is a difficult question, but what would you say connects it? Connects
uh,
your style between the different. I mean, I would
um,
argue like it. You can tell that it's your work, no matter what style it is. Would you
that's
agree,
good.
Eric?
I agree.
Yeah. So there has to be
That's
like,
good.
yeah. So maybe it's just like the way you draw noses or something. I don't know.
Um, I know that I've always drawn long necks on characters, long skinny necks usually.
Hmm.
Um, I've I've cooled down on that a little. In college, I had like characters that had huge long necks, and then I'd look at them a month later and go, "Oh God, what did I do?" Um, but other times I draw big hair. Big hair is the thing that I have in a lot of my characters, no matter what style. I
Oh,
just
okay.
like having characters that have big hair and usually have you guys seen Centaur World?
What was the
No.
name
little
of it?
bit.
I'm waiting for our
Centaur
expert
World?
Center World.
It's it's not an anime.
Oh
It's
no.
more
It's
of
a
a kind of pseudo child's cartoon until the villain comes out, right?
well, yeah, it's funny because they say it's seven and up, but like from the beginning, you're like, this doesn't feel like seven and up. This feels like a teen anime.
I'm looking at it right now, and that's a very interesting looking giraffe person.
Oh yeah, it's a joy. It's a fantastic show. But I just thought of it because I draw my hair similar to how they draw their hair. And they call it wibbly wobbly.
Oh, okay.
It's got like the curls and the rounded ends a lot of the time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's a great show. I definitely recommend it. Don't be dissuaded by the seven and up on it. It's quite mature.
That's
I
funny.
watch Avatar of the Last Airbender and Legend of Korra all the time. So
That's true. But the style looks really childish, but it's so not childish. Um, and it's insanely absurdist. It's my newest biggest inspiration. But yeah, so that and I tend to draw big eyes on my characters. I'm very partial to like the giant round eyes.
Okay.
is that from like your love of anime, or is that just how you've drawn naturally?
It's kind of it's partially how I draw naturally. It's partially it's probably more cartoon inspired. It's like and comics inspired. I loved Invader Zim and Jonan Vasquez. His comics are amazing to me. So I especially loved growing up. I read a lot of Squee and Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, and his thing is giant eyes on these
Yeah.
like really
Yeah.
skinny figures.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Like puppets, sort of. Yeah.
yeah, and so I love that, and things like Steven Universe have kind of large eyes on characters.
Cool.
So yeah, definitely.
So you also sent us a Valentine's Day comic, which was not quite done. Did you guys read this? It was on our Instagram.
I have not, but
Yeah. Yeah, I'm releasing it the finished bit tomorrow.
On
For
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's
Yeah,
Day.
we're
Yeah.
recording the day before. Yeah. It also
So
didn't have a conclusion, so
yeah, it's the last page is tomorrow.
I was
It's
like
just a
cliffhanger.
it's a yeah, it's just a very small short story that I wrote in college, and I liked it enough that I thought it would work really well as a little comic.
Mhm.
So last year I started it for Valentine's Day, and then I started German classes like almost right after
Oh wow.
that. So I had no time to work on it. So I got like 6 pages into this 11-page story and couldn't do anything on it because literally for the last year it's been German classes from 8 in the morning to 11, and then I immediately would come home, eat, and then work on the 3 comics that I was working on for like with writers for
Oh
the
yeah.
rest of the day.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
like every day for the whole year. So
Wow.
yeah, it was a lot, and so I didn't even touch it until like last month when I finally could get the last few pages finished. And I literally just finished the last page today because
Nice.
I still couldn't get it done.
Well,
Um,
it's good that it's done. Yeah.
yeah,
so
no,
it took me a year. It took me a year, but I got the Valentine's Day comic out.
Nice.
nice.
It's a
What
very short, yeah. It's a very short thing about like an anxious college kid trying to give his crush something and
A Valentine.
dealing with the
Yeah.
anxiety with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It was well timed and paced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Well, that's good because my teacher in the class I wrote it did not think so.
it. Oh, you mean in college?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Was it a comic book script when you turned it in?
Or
No,
was
no, it was a short story. It was only like 5 pages
Oh,
of
okay.
written,
They
and
didn't
it
like
was
your
a creative
story?
writing.
didn't like your story? Like, was like, what was the major complaint about it? Mind me asking.
Um, Too much
Unfortunately,
build
guys,
up.
I need to get going.
No problem.
My kid is starting to wind up and start crying.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
That's how it
Thank
works.
you, thank you,
Right.
Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah.
All right, so
Nice to
all
meet you.
manga and anime is off the table now. Just
Oh no.
Good luck and have fun.
thanks, Chris. Bye.
Right.
Bye.
Bye. What was I
I just
talking
read
about?
through it. It's a sweet story, and I definitely do feel like why it very much like winds itself to actually to be a comic story more than it does a short story. Nothing personal to your short story, but like as a comic, it's very well written. It's paced. You can see like the emotions on the characters, very very much
Yeah,
so. So you
and
did a very good job with that.
I think that's kind of what because when I wrote it, I tend to write a lot about like a person's internal
Mhm.
um feelings, and in a comic I can just draw their expression. Um, so I think that's probably why they didn't like my story because they said it was way too much build up and then not enough payoff. And it's much easier when you're pacing it out in a bunch of comic pages.
What's so
Yeah.
funny? Keegan?
Uh, that's just like it sounds funny to me. It was like they were expecting more, probably
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
more of an
that's
ending.
kind
But
of yeah, it was definitely that. It was definitely this idea that they were like, you're really good at doing all of this build up, but then the climax is too fast. And I'm like, what do you want my climax to be?
yeah, that's what the
It's a
climax
moment.
is. It's just a
Yeah.
moment. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe it was just too small of a story for that particular teacher. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah,
because it's
so
it's not too much, right? It's just like in a coffee shop and like it's him battling his own internal thoughts for a few pages here.
exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I have a sister story to it that I might end up making into a comic maybe next year because I want to do some other projects this year.
mhm.
Um, yeah, and it's the flip side. It's like the other characters' um, experience of that event
Oh, cool.
that
That's
Pretty cool.
I wrote that also for the class, and they also didn't like it.
typical. Well,
Yep.
maybe it just needed to be a comic. I mean, you're a very visual person, and you know,
Mhm.
narrative is
Mhm.
always different than visual. You know, I
I mean,
Mhm.
I would argue you get way more details with a visual, like as a comic. You know, I don't know
I
if
mean,
that's true or not, but
well, no, stories and visual stuff are just completely different. I mean,
mhm.
there are certain things that just do not lend themselves well to being short story, or and there's certain things that don't lend themselves to be comic. I'm not saying like your story was horrible. But I'm
No, no.
saying that like for example, that I for example, okay, what's a Death Note for example? I don't think would have lent itself nearly as well as a story as it would of um as the comic, just because like for example like when he at one point was like really proud of himself and he thought he was killing the person that originally called himself L, he takes up the
Mhm.
entire page, and you can't, and unless you like redo the short story so that it simply says like the next page L's name, the entire name on
Mhm.
that page, which let's be honest, they're not going to do. It wouldn't be nearly as visual, and even then, at that point, you're making it visual because that's what they did in the comic. Was they literally just took an entire page and somebody said the guy's name, and that was it, and that was
Mhm.
what he thought he was killing his arch enemy, but
Yeah,
he was actually getting outsmarted.
yeah. Yeah, and definitely there's,
Mhm.
manga versus anime and how they, interpret things. Sometimes, it's like shot for shot and perfect. Other times it just doesn't translate that well.
Yeah.
Um, And it's the same thing like when you make an anime and then you make a manga out of it, it
Mhm.
just doesn't have the same kind of visual language.
Yeah.
Or or the worst thing, you take an anime and then you make a live action American remake of it and it's
Mhm.
horrible.
Are you talking about the Death Note live action film? That
Yes.
was I absolutely I'm like, how did you get you like somehow knew what the anime was and took every single part of the worst aspects of the entire thing and said like, that's what we're gonna go with. Every part that we that was liked and made the thing good, why don't we just get rid of that and just make it about like an angsty teen romance that has
It,
absolutely nothing to do or and like the characters are absolutely nothing like the originals or their counterparts and just get rid of it. And then
that was
also,
that was the craziest part. I was just like, I was looking at it, and after I saw a video about about like how it went down because I really didn't want to watch it. Um,
I watched it. It
and
was
I was just
horrible.
and I was just like, why didn't you just change the characters' names and just make this, oh, Ryuk dropped his Death Note again in America. This is a different story with different characters because they don't relate to their characters
Well,
at
I mean,
all.
like they actually did a follow-up Death Note, like a one-off that I thought
Yeah,
that involved Donald Trump of all the people in the world. I thought it was hilarious.
but yeah,
Um,
stuff
and I
like
thought it
that
was
or the
and I thought it was done well. It was smart how they did it, and then they kind of just when we said like, "Yep, this is the last one. We're done with it for a while."
yeah, and then stuff like the Cowboy Bebop also just came out on Netflix and also got a lot of problems with reviews because it's a different medium. You can't
It's
make a live action thing out of
yeah.
a cartoon because it's just not going to feel the same way.
Like I
Like,
don't want to watch the live action. I've never watched the live action Lion King. I don't want to because the whole point was that those lions were able in the original Disney cartoon were very expressive. You can't really make a lion all of a sudden become very expressive. That looks very weird all of a sudden.
yeah, exactly. The Disney live action remakes are also a problem. I think the only time I've ever seen it done really well is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Um, Mostly because Edgar Wright is just fantastic and
Yeah.
Yeah.
made it a cartoon in live action.
Yeah.
So
Kind of knew what he was doing. Yeah.
Also,
but
what was
yeah.
the other one he did? The other one I thought was good was the Wachowski brothers or sisters at this point did Speed Racer, but they did it in such an anime way that it was literally like an anime like that they just put people in front of the green screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people used to hate that movie, but it's gotten a lot of re-evaluations because
Yeah,
of the style.
it's definitely hit cult status at this point because it's got people are looking at back at like this is really well done. This is really good.
It
Yeah,
was.
so
Yeah.
definitely.
I saw it in
It's
Italian the
very
first time. It was good then. Yeah. Didn't need to know. Yeah. Anyway.
yeah, didn't need to know what they were saying.
Yeah, no, had nothing to it that needed translating.
But yeah, it's very hard to translate things like that. It's
Mhm.
and definitely there's some things that I like want to write as a long form kind of novel-esque thing, and then other things that I'm like, that's got to be a comic. I just have to write that as a comic.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, do you have any other projects coming up?
Yeah, let me double check the name. Uh, yeah, so right now I've also been working all year on this project called Dr. Song's Very Human Robot Zero. Um, that's the working title. I don't know if they're going to change it. It was another collaboration with a pair of YouTubers. Their YouTube is
Full Metal
Kato
Alchemist Brotherhood.
Beyond, and they do like anime reviews. They talk about different like video essay style things about everything from anime to like Avatar: The Last Airbender and I think Marvel movies.
Hmm.
They're like deep dives into like specific parts of anime. So
Exactly.
like they do like Gara, the Strength of the Monster, who's from Naruto, um, the genius of early One Piece, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Death Notes. I mean, a lot of stuff like that. That's just really cool and really interesting.
So how did you connect with them?
Same way. On Reddit through the
Oh, okay.
Comic Collab.
Yeah.
I think they were the first ones that actually like answered me when I was applying for being an illustrator for them.
Okay.
I had applied to a couple people, and they were the only ones that responded at first. Um, and yeah, their comic is also kind of like a weekly gag comic
Okay.
that relates to their YouTube channel. They have
Okay.
characters. Yeah, so their characters I think is Dr. Song and Zero, and so this is supposed to relate in some part to their YouTube channel. They
Okay.
have, gags. It's like gags about anime or gags about their
Full Metal
YouTube.
Alchemist Brotherhood is a show that some
And they said that they're hoping to release it around March, but there's no solid time.
Oh, I see.
Um,
Okay. Have you
yeah,
been working on
but
it though?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I finished. I think oh man, like the 12th issue. I've been working the whole year, and then they're going to release it with like leeway so we can start on the next batch if
Oh, okay.
everything goes well. So
Cool.
I've been working the whole year on like 12 issues of this. It's very fun. It's one of my favorite comic projects I've worked on, just because of the fluidity of it. The scripts were, easy to read. Talking to them was super easy. They were always really cool if I had a delay because of my classes or something.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was a really good time. I really like working with writers, because I love that extra, uh what's it called, like direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Having.
when I'm working on my own, then I'm just like over analyzing everything and rewriting things and like freaking myself out about whether it's good or not. So when it's a writer, they hand me their writing and I go, yeah, this looks good, and then I just draw the
Yeah.
thing
Then you
and
kind of
they
like.
go, this looks good.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
can like let go of the authorship or you can let some of that go,
exactly.
right? Yeah, that's cool. But then on the other side, I'll say like it's very uncomfortable to like send revisions to an artist, which I just had to do. So I'm sensitive
Oh
to it.
yeah.
Right now I'm a little sensitive because I'm like I'm gonna ask this guy to do quite a bit and like yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I try personally, I try to do like tons of small things so that if any revisions comes up, they should come up early.
Hmm.
So like I do thumbnails first. I show them my thumbnails.
Yeah.
I then I then sketch them out like slightly better so you can really see what they're gonna look like,
Hmm.
and then give them that. And then after that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the finished line work for this.
Do you charge
And
for those character designs?
character designs, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Usually my first thing, it's kind of like a thing for both of us. So they know if I'm good for the project and I know that they're good for like paying me.
Paying you. Okay.
Um,
That makes
so
sense.
it's
I mean
just like,
that's great. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like I'm going to do a small project for you of character designs. You're going to pay me this amount, and then after the character designs, we can just hop right into the comic because then we know how we work and we know how the payment's going to go, and it just is much smoother
Yeah,
after that.
that makes sense. Yeah, that's cool.
Instead of like committing to a long project without knowing each other.
How long are you staying
Yeah.
in Switzerland for?
Maybe forever.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Do
Um,
you like it there?
yeah,
I hope you
it's
would if you
pretty
were staying
nice.
there forever.
Yeah, it's just I've wanted to like move away from the US since I was like a little kid.
Oh, okay.
So I got the option to like a couple years ago, and I was just like, I gotta take it. Switzerland's not my first choice. My first choice is Japan because I'm a nerd.
It's very hard to get into Japan. Breaking the fourth wall. My brother was offered his position was for him to be able to work 3 months of the year in Japan. They currently works at, and it got very high up in the government, and they still said no for him to do it. And he was
Oof.
supposed to do it because like he works with like some of their top. He's a scientist by trade. He works with some of their top scientists, and they were pulling for him to do it, and they still said no. So for him, it's like he'll get to it again later, but for the meantime, it's just very hard to get to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still gunning for Japan, but it's definitely going to take a while. Um, and I mean, my only marketable skill is that I'm an illustrator and writer. So
I mean, you can arguably like, say like I can do that anywhere though too, and I'm not going to hurt anybody. I'll help your country out.
that's pretty much, I mean, that's how I got into Switzerland. It was a lot of people going, "What's your job?" And I'm like, I draw. I can draw from anywhere. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not using any weird currencies. It's just online. I draw, I get paid, and then I use the money. So,
Oh, that's great.
um,
Do they speak English
yeah,
there mostly, or is it a lot of different languages?
yeah. It's different languages, but it's so German is the one that you kind of have to learn,
Yeah.
at least partially. And if you want to be a citizen, then you do need like a B1, which is like not fluent, but you can understand things a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I have a B1 now, so I'm good on that. But and then there's French and Italian and Romance, and most people know at least some English. Um, a lot of the cities, I'm in one of the cities, so there's tons of English. There's English everywhere. It's almost hard to learn German because there's so much English that you don't
Uh,
really need to.
yeah. Okay. I see.
Um, so it's not hard to like live here. Um, and yeah, I might like visit the US, but I don't think I really want to move back there.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That's,
So
Lots of good chocolate in Switzerland. Uh,
lots of chocolate.
yeah.
is there how can people find you and support your
Um,
work?
yeah, so I post a lot on Instagram, under India Kneipp. That's where I mostly post. Then I have my website, indiaknipp.com. That has all my portfolio work and like a bunch of my art. I have a TikTok that also is just my name, India Kneipp. I actually mostly just post my paper making there,
Okay.
because I've gotten into that over the last 2 years. I've been making a lot of paper and notebooks and
Oh,
everything.
cool. Cool. Do you
And
ever
then
draw
my
on it? Do you
Patreon.
ever make comics on the paper? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I
cool.
haven't made comics. I haven't made comics, but I have made sketchbooks.
Oh, cool.
I've made yeah, it's all I've gotten to a point where I can make pretty consistently good notebooks that won't fall apart and everything. And
Oh, very
that
nice.
can, yeah, they can even handle paint. They can't maybe they can't handle like a lot of watercolor, but they can handle like acrylic or markers or
Oh, very
just
nice.
drawing. Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's something that I do. And yeah, my Patreon is if you want to support me at all, then that's also just my name, India Knip.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming
Yeah.
on,
Yeah. Thank
and
you.
thank you,
no
Yeah.
and
problem.
thank you for bearing with us that we had to bring in an expert because we knew our own limitations.
No, no, more like we
No
were
problem.
prepared this time, Eric.
We
That's
were
all.
prepared this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
was.
I was afraid. I was afraid that I was going to be caught out because I know a lot of old anime and not a lot of new anime.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay. No, that was a conversation I had nothing to do with, and I thought
Yeah.
I
There's definitely the looking. I'm sorry. Of just like what just of Key going. I'm so lost.
yeah. Cool. Well, thanks again, and we'll
Thank you.
talk to you again soon, hopefully. Yeah.
yeah,
Hopefully.
absolutely. I'd love to.
Cool. Okay. Bye.